In any of our formal practices of the Dharma, it's said that there should be three components present. We want to begin with refuge and bodhicitta so that our motivation is proper. In the middle, we do our best to be as undistracted as possible. And then in the end, we want to end with a dedication. That is, sending this virtue or sending this merit in a particular direction. So the first is refuge and bodhicitta. We say, until enlightenment, I go for refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Sangha. The Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha we call the three jewels of refuge. The Buddha, of course, is Shakyamuni Buddha. So the Buddha was an ordinary human, just like us. And through his efforts, through his practice, he came to realize the truth, realize the potential for any being with mind. So we say the Buddha is like the example of what is possible for any of us. Once the Buddha attained his awakening, then for the next 45 years, the Buddha wandered the Indian subcontinent, teaching those he encountered and who were interested, and how they too could progress from confusion to clarity, to move from a place of suffering to well-being. These teachings we call the Dharma. And the Sangha means the community of practitioners that arose around the Buddha. Eventually, some men and women became monks and nuns in this community that the Buddha was teaching. And through their practice, these monks and nuns also gave rise to realization and insight. So when we say the Supreme Sangha, this really means the community of awakened monks and nuns, men and women, who are then also capable of transmitting the Dharma. The reason that we have access to these teachings today is because of the continuity of the Sangha and men and women over these past 2,500 years. Bodhicitta basically means the mind of awakening. Bodhi means awakening, citta means mind. And this is a critical component of Vajrayāna Buddhism. So now we don't just practice with the aspiration that we ourselves overcome confusion and suffering. Bodhicitta is embracing all beings. May we come to understand the nature of things. May we come to awakening so that we can then share that understanding with all other beings. And bodhicitta has two aspects. There's aspiration bodhicitta and application bodhicitta. When we say, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of beings, that's aspiration bodhicitta, that's our wish. Application bodhicitta is now what are we going to do to manifest that aspiration? That part of the prayer says, by the merit of generosity and other virtues. So by the merit of our generous actions, by the merit of our meditation, by the merit of our maintaining ethical conduct, etc., may these things contribute to and bring about this awakening for the benefit of others. This motivation at the beginning of each of our meditation sessions, even this meditation held throughout the day, is a critical component of our Vajrayāna Buddhist practice. The four immeasurables we could consider building blocks of bodhicitta. So to name the four, they are loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. So the first of these is loving kindness, and what we recite is, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. So when we recite it, it's like it's an aspiration. But it shouldn't only be an aspiration. We want this sentiment to pervade our being, pervade our actions and speech more and more, so we start to live from this place, so we start to be expressions of this loving kindness. The second is compassion, where we say, may we and all sentient beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. So again, it's an aspiration that we make, and we nurture this motivation in all of our thoughts and speech and deeds more and more to engage in activities that can reduce the suffering for ourselves and others. The third is joy, sometimes called sympathetic joy, where we say, may we never be separated from true happiness, which is free from suffering. This joy has two components. One is, may we come to experience a well-being, which is awakening, that is now the truest happiness and well-being, not a well-being dependent upon outer situations. Another aspect of joy is this sympathetic joy as an antidote to jealousy. So when we see another being experiencing some happiness, instead of being jealous about that happiness and well-being they're experiencing, we learn, we train to rejoice in that, to see it as a positive thing. And the fourth of these is equanimity, where we say, may we abide in great equanimity, free from the partiality of attachment and aversion. All of us already do express loving kindness, compassion, and joy, but in the beginning, it's limited to those beings that we already know and already care about. But, in accordance with this sense of bodhicitta, embracing all beings in our practice, we want to gradually extend these practices of loving kindness, compassion, and joy to not just the beings that we already know and care about, but even to those that we don't know, and eventually, even to those that we don't like. So these four immeasurables, we can say, are the building blocks of bodhicitta. Having begun our practice with refuge and bodhicitta, we say that we set the goal. The goal is to follow the path of the Buddha, to engage in the teachings of the Dharma with the support of the Sangha, to come to this realization, not just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of all. And then at the end of our practice, so there's merit or virtue that has come about from our practice of shamatha, calm abiding meditation, engaging in contemplations on loving kindness, compassion, etc. So now we want to give those a direction, and the dedication prayers are giving direction to that virtue. When we engage in virtue, it could just be that it manifests in a worldly way. Like we're generous to somebody, maybe we give them $5. Maybe in a future life that person ends up giving us $5 back, and that's the fruit of that merit that we engaged in. When we engage in some merit, whether it's generosity, whether it's ethical conduct, whether it's meditation, and we dedicate it to awakening, it's said that now the benefit of that action may manifest in the world in a way as I just explained, but now it's also going to be dedicated to, sent towards the goal of coming to complete awakening. So we say, by this merit may I attain omniscience. This word is a little bit funny. In the Tibetan it says, and in the Sanskrit it said, all seeing. May we come to see everything as it is. May the enemy, wrong action, be overcome. The source of all of our confusion and suffering are unskillful actions. The enemy is not outer enemies. The enemy are these confused states of mind that impel us to engage in unskillful conduct. And through this, from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, articulating these four aspects of our existence that are rife with suffering. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, may I quickly free all beings from the ocean of samsara. Samsara means confused existence, sometimes translated as cyclic existence. While we are unaware of the nature of reality, due to our previous karma, we will be compelled to take birth after birth according to all of these karmas that we have accumulated. This is an expression of confusion, and through this expression of confusion, we will continue to experience suffering upon suffering. So our goal is for ourselves, of course, to overcome this confusion of cyclic existence, and for others also to overcome the confusion and suffering inherent in samsara, or confused existence. In the second dedication prayer, we say, yes, by this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and bring every sentient being without exception to that state. So again, it's giving our virtue some direction. What do we want to realize? Mahamudra. What is Mahamudra? Mahamudra is our tradition of meditation within the Kagyu. So really, here it's a synonym for awakening or enlightenment. And again, not only do we wish for ourselves to realize this enlightenment or this awakening or Mahamudra, but we wish for this to be the case for all beings without exception. So in the initial prayer, we spoke about refuge and bodhicitta, and there we said bodhicitta is the wish to attain awakening for the benefit of all other beings. So of course we wish to come to awakening so that we can understand things as they are, be free of cyclic existence or samsara, but now, in the Mahayana, we are wishing for this realization so that we can share this understanding with other beings, giving rise to this wish, doing one's best to live one's life, embracing this wish to overcome suffering and confusion for oneself to be able to spread it to others is incredibly rare, so incredibly precious. So we make the wish that this mind of awakening comes to arise in those in whom it has not arisen, and for those in whom it has arisen, May it not diminish, but continue to progress until they themselves come to the consummate state of awakening for the benefit of others.